Okay guys, so in this video I'm going to show you the basics of how to do a card flip. So let's get into it. So a card flip like this is an effect that can be very striking if applied correctly. And the way this is basically the effect. You have a card of some sort or a container with two sides and you interact with it either on a click or a hover or something like that, and it just flips. Yeah, and it's not that often that I use this in production, but I think it's a very nice effect for different use cases, like where you want to maybe show some information or something like that. But let's have a look at how this is actually structured. So the way that I've done this is that I've declared to basically I've created this little input here. It's just a checkbox, and the reason why, and I've put this to display none, it's actually right next to the element here. The reason why I do this is because I want to have, with just using pure CSS selectors, I want to be able to actually express that there's two states to my card here. Let's actually look at that a little bit. So what I've done here is virtually that I've said that, all right, so if the input is checked and it is adjacent to this scene with the card selector, with this card class, just make like rotate the element like that. That's basically it. So I'm just saying that, all right, grab the scene and grab the card down here and rotate it 180 degrees if you're next to an input element that is checked. And that way I can actually have this effect here where I can express the, and it's actually, some people use JavaScript, but I think that this is a kind of cool way of, like, inputs are useful for this if you want to use something just, pure CSS to do this, but you can use JavaScript as well. And then I wrap this in a label because I want to be able to reference, like as you can notice here, that the ID is set to flip and the label is for flip. So, when I'm clicking this element, I'm actually checking this box here. I can actually show you that. So when I click it, yeah, as you can see, that's the whole magic to the actual flip there. Right, so then I've just added a scene class here where I just basically say that, all right, I'm going to be 200 times 200, and then I set a perspective of 600 pixels. And perspective, it has to do with how the browser renders a 3D, like an element in 3 dimensions. So basically what I do here is that I say that I want my camera distance, is the easiest way to explain this. I actually have a video about perspective, so I'm not going to dive too far into it, but I'm just saying that I want the viewport or the camera angle of the thing that I'm watching to be 600 pixels offset from the element, because if I'm not, and my camera is right up against the element, I'm not going to actually see this effect. If I just click here, you can see it looks kind of weird. Like, it doesn't look like it's just, yeah, it looks like it crushes itself and then expands again. But if I move my camera back, I can actually see that, hey, it's actually rotating. So that's virtually how it works. And then we have my actual card, which wraps the front and the back. And then, yeah, basically this is just a container where I declare it to be position relative. And then I declare that I want to preserve the three-dimensional position of the element within my within the 3D space. So when it's rotating, it's actually staying in the same position. And then I have a transition, which is just going to be the transform, so that we can actually see that the card flips. Otherwise, it's just going to do this back and forth without any animation, which is not great. And then finally you have the front of my card, which is just it has a card face, which is common for both, where I just declare it to be a position absolute and a height and a width of 100%, so it covers my entire scene here. And then I declare the backface visibility. Now, what is that? Well, backface visibility is just a property that allows me to express if I want the back of the element to be visible when I turn it in my 3D space. So if I remove that now, you see the back of the front card, because that's the thing, that's basically the only thing that you're going to use this property for. So that's fairly important if you want to have an ability to show something in, like, if you want to be able to show the back card. That's basically it. I'm not going to dive too much into this because this is a little bit of an experimental technology. It has better support these days, but you should be aware of that this is not always safe to use in production. It's fairly supported these days though. And then I have my back card, which is just going to be virtually the same stuff with a different color. And I also start with a transform of where I basically rotate the card 180 degrees on the y-axis, since that's why it's on the back. And as we saw here earlier, when I actually flip this way, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm simply rotating the front card 180 degrees and rotating the back card another 180 degrees, if you will. And yeah, that's the basics of how to make this little flip. And yeah, have a great day.